Shalom. All praises, blessings, glories, and honors to Yahweh, the King of Terrors, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Racha, Quadash. And double honors to my elder apostles and bishop elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth, as well of men of like mind. Shalom wa chasad, which means peace and mercy to the elect of the nation of Israel, may you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, and Israelite foreigners of the seed line of our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whom are scattered here in America, which is Babylon the Great, and abroad. To you I say Shalom, beginning the 144,000 prophets, and Yahweh, the King of Terrors, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, willing, this lesson is edifying and informative. In the news from the Kobasai letter on X, breaking, the U.S.-Europe alliance is reportedly reaching a breaking point over the Iran war, and President Trump has mused to aides about breaking out of NATO, per the Wall Street Journal. And America's break away from NATO and the EU is a part of biblical prophecy, written of in the book of Daniel, the 2nd chapter, Revelation, the 17th chapter, the 16th verse, and Obadiah, the 1st chapter, wherein America's European allies will break away from America, Babylon the Great, through exiting NATO and the EU, eventually becoming an adversary to America, Babylon the Great. And in the end, according to the book of Revelation, the 17th chapter, 16th verse, eat her flesh and burn her with fire. That is, by way of and through thermonuclear fire, according to biblical prophecy. Details include transatlantic ties between the U.S. and Europe are deteriorating rapidly. And as I speak, the world continues to witness this deterioration that has been ongoing over the past several months, years. Trump has expressed disgust at European allies for not joining the U.S.-Israeli war against Iran. And according to biblical prophecy, the least of the flock, which is the state of Israel, shall draw them, which is America, Babylon the Great, out into the so-called Middle East, the Western Asia, to the Arabian Peninsula, so that America can become a guard unto the least of the flock, which is the state of Israel. And we have been seeing that happening over the past several years to date. And as I speak, there is an ongoing conflict between the United States, Israel, and Iran, the modern-day Persians, which will, according to biblical prophecy, be guarded by Gog of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. Okay? The so-called Russians. As we approach the third world's woe, according to biblical prophecy. But remember, before that happens at its height, leading up to that, the mark of the beast, which is the RFID microchip, will first be globally introduced and subsequently mandated. Right? And so reading on, Trump is questioning whether defending Europe serves U.S. interests at all. If Europeans do not help American military interventions in the so-called Middle East or elsewhere. The White House's stance is being described as a break with American global strategy since World War II. U.S.-NATO relations appear to be at new lows. And this concludes the report. In another similar from the BRICS news, looks like the BRICS news removed it. Looks like they removed it. Nevertheless, it was another similar post regarding America's U.S. European NATO relations reaching new lows, and they'll continue to reach new lows until eventually and inevitably America and its European allies break apart. Right now, this is the book of Daniel, chapter 2, verse 41. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron. Now, why was the feet of the statue, his toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron? Because we are living in the revival of the pagan Roman Empire, whose deadly wound was healed after it came back into rulership during the Renaissance and eventually expanded through NATO and the EU, with America being an extension of that empire. That is why the feet of it, the toes, are part of iron and part of clay, as it will read on to say in verse 42. And part of iron, right? I'll read that again from verse 41 from the top. Whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron. The kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, of the strength of the pagan Roman Empire. For as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay, its European allies, and as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly weak. And we are seeing that kingdom decay rapidly as the feet of it continues to crumble, continues to break. Okay? Now let's get the book of Revelation. You could read on some more, but the point has been read. Revelation chapter 14, verse 17. Just a quick news report. Lord's willing, it has been edifying and informative. Revelation chapter 17, verse 16. And the 10 horns, which represents the EU, okay, which thou sawest upon the beast, which represents the pagan Roman Empire, which came back in the form of NATO and the EU, with America being an extension of that empire, right? That is the beast. These shall hate the whore. The whore is America, Babylon the Great, that rises upon the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, and shall make her desolate through thermonuclear fire, shooting their arrows upon her, according to biblical prophecy, and naked and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. And that is exactly what the European allies will do unto America, Babylon the Great, according to biblical prophecy. Once they have become adverse to America, once they have become enemies with America, Babylon the Great. In closing, this is the book of Obadiah, verse 7. I'll read it in the NLT. All your allies will turn against you. They will help to chase you from your land. They will promise you peace while plotting to deceive and destroy you. Your trusted friends will set traps for you, and you won't even know about it. In the KJV, it reads, all the men of thy confederacy, and the word confederacy means with, and federacy means agreement, a contract, have brought thee even to the border. And we understand that according to biblical prophecy, the Lord is gathering all the nations to the valley of decision, the valley of Jehoshaphat, to fight the third world's woe, including America, Babylon the Great. And eventually, it's European allies, right, who will turn against her. As it states here, the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee, because it's going to be made evident and obvious that they are now foes, no longer friends, especially once they bend their bows, shoot their arrows, which is a metaphor for the ICBM nuclear missiles upon her, according to biblical prophecy, to destroy her and prevail against thee. They that eat thy bread, which is what they still currently do through traffic, through trade, okay, especially through sea, right, through ships. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound unto thee. There is none understanding in him. Why? Because Esau, Edom, is most proud. He is most stout than his fellows, right? And so with that, this has been a real brief news report of what's going on around the globe. Lord's willing, this lesson has been edifying and informative to your brothers and a few sisters, Lord's willing. We are another day, another step closer to the end of the kingdom of the wicked, right? Keep an eye on that chip. Shalom.